Welcome into Texans Today, everybody. I'm your host, Jeremy Chuggs. Before we get going on anything today, wishing everybody is safe and sound during Hurricane Beryl. I know I have obviously a ton of viewers in the Houston area. Hope all of you are doing well and hope all of you are safe during this hurricane and are able to ride it out. I know some people may have lost power, but hope everybody is doing okay. Today on this show, we're going to be breaking down the latest Texans rumors using our Texans rumor meter. If you haven't watched the show before this month, whenever we debuted the Toro Heads meter, this is basically how we kind of judge rumors going forward on this show. If I give something 0 Toro Heads, that means it's fake news. It's not happening. 1 head, there's a small shred of truth. 2 heads, people are talking. 3 heads, it's pretty likely. And if I give something 4 Toro Heads, H-Town, hold it down. It is definitely going down. Before I break down the rumors on today's show, I would be remiss to not mention our sub battle against our rival, the Tennessee Titans. We are currently in the lead with 113 subs added in the month of July, but I want to extend that lead. I want to put our foot on their throat. I want to continue this dominance. So if you haven't already, go down and hit that sub button for daily Texans news and rumors videos, more live shows throughout the regular season. So what are you waiting for? It's 100% free. Go down and hit that sub button right now. As our first rumor is a spicy meatball. Is Stroud better than Brock Purdy? I wanted to give this a 4, but I'm going to give this 3 Toro Heads, and I'll tell you why in just a moment. Because obviously, I think the easy answer is to be like, H-Town, hold it down. Stroud way better than Purdy. Purdy's ass. Well, and you're probably wondering, Jeremy, why are you even bringing this subject up? Well, I was scrolling on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it these days, and I saw this graphic pop up. The top 25 players under 25 by the 33rd team, and you notice they're not in the top 5, not even top 6, but he's not the first quarterback off the board for the top 25 players under 25. That is Brock Purdy, ranked at 6, and then CJ Stroud ranked at 7. So it made me think, do I just have my Texans goggles on, or is Stroud really better than Purdy? Who's with me, though? I want to know in the chat right now, everybody who's watching this video, let your voice be heard. If you think Stroud is better than Brock Purdy, go down and like the video. I'll have the numbers. I'll have all the breakdown in just a moment, but I want to know, who's with me right now? If you think CJ Stroud is better than Brock Purdy, go down and like today's video, because no shade towards Brock Purdy. But I think all 32 NFL GMs right now, if they said, hey, you can either start a team with Brock Purdy or CJ Stroud, you get your pick, I think all 32 are picking CJ Stroud. And this isn't me saying Brock Purdy isn't good or that he's asked, because when you look at the numbers from last season, I mean, pretty comparable between the two. CJ Stroud played in 1 less game than Brock Purdy, but Purdy had a better completion percentage. He had a little bit more yards, but also had 1 more game. 23 touchdowns for Stroud, 31 for Purdy, but he did have more than double the interceptions than C.J. Stroud did. And then a QB rating of 100.8 for Stroud in his rookie season, and a sophomore QB rating for Purdy of 113.0. And then I was like, you know what, let me go a little bit further. Let me dig a little bit further. These are the advanced stats from last season. Adjusted throwing percentage, Brock Purdy also looks really good. Turnover-worthy plays a little bit worse than C.J. Stroud. The A-dot, which is the average depth of target, was a little bit lower than C.J. Stroud's. The big-time throw percentage, though, in favor of Brock Purdy, and the pressure-to-sack percentage also a little bit better for Brock Purdy. And overall, the reason why I gave it 3 Toro Heads is because I actually think people overlook how good Purdy is. Because Brock Purdy, even though, you know, the reason why I'm saying I think CJ Stroud's better is because he had a lot less to work with and was still as good as he was his rookie season. Brock Purdy has an amazing situation, but at the same time, he still has to go out there and deliver. So Brock Purdy, he's a good quarterback, but I think this year with Stroud, now that he has better weapons, we added a better running back in Joe Mixon. The offensive line should be a little bit better this season. And then we added another great wide receiver in Stephon Diggs. I think this will be a better barometer of how good CJ Stroud is compared to other NFL quarterbacks, where Brock Purdy, yes, he's in his little bubble. He has Shanahan. He has the weapons. I mean, he has, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, and, the best running back in the league in Christian McCaffrey. And he also has, a future Hall of Famer in George Kittle as well. So the offense is stacked in Purdy's favor, but I still think he's a pretty good quarterback. I just think CJ Stroud's a little bit better, and he's going to prove that this year. No doubt about it. Now, before I get going into this next part, what do you think? Do the Texans need to sign a linebacker? Because a certain network linked the Texans to a free agent linebacker. Let me know what you think down in the comments section, because Pro Football Network said the Texans, they should go out and sign Shaq Leonard. I'm going to give this one Toro head. It's small shred of truth. I could see it because the Texans, they need depth at the linebacker spot. But Shaq Leonard, is he that? Is he that guy? I don't think so. I mean, we look at his numbers from last year, 88 tackles, 1 sack, 4 tackles for loss with the Philadelphia Eagles, but he was horrendous in coverage last year for Philadelphia. And I don't know if he's going to be a, starting caliber linebacker. And whenever I look at this Texans linebacker depth chart, I know, after Christian Harris and Azeez Al-Shaair, it kind of goes a little bit downhill because we don't know what we really have in Henry To'o. And then there's a lot of, secondary guys, Neville Hewitt. There's Jake Hansen, Jacob Phillips, Delshon Phillips, Max Tooley, the UDFA this season, and then Jamal Hill, the late-round pick out of Oregon. So there's a lot of question marks along this linebacking depth chart for the Houston Texans. But at the end of the day, I think DeMeco Ryans feels very comfortable in his ability to coach these guys up. Obviously, a former linebacker in the NFL and really comfortable teaching the linebacker spot. So I think he feels good with where they're at right now. And in my opinion, Shaq Leonard's the best free agent available at the linebacker spot. I don't think free agency really gives you an upgrade at the linebacker spot at this point in the offseason. And with that being said, if the Texans do make any sort of move, of course, we'll break it down for you. That's why you got to hit that sub button and join the fastest growing Texans channel on YouTube. Never miss a moment. Go down and hit that sub button. But at the end of the day, I don't think the Texans add a linebacker in free agency moving forward into training camp or in the preseason. Last story on today's show, talking about linebackers. Christian Harris, is he the most underappreciated Texan on the roster? I'm going to also give this one 3 Toro heads. People are talking. I think it's very close. I think Laramie Tunsil, even though, he gets a lot of praise, I think he actually might be very underappreciated as well. But Christian Harris is another great option. I mean, obviously, been putting in work this offseason. He met up with Aaron Wilson after, doing a little sand training this offseason. And he talked about how, he's so pumped for this season. He's ready to be a leader on this defense alongside Azeez Al-Shaair, which brings me to this question. I asked our community the other day, and they said Azeez Al-Shaair. I want to hear from you folks at home, though, who are watching this video. Who has more tackles in 2024? Do you think it's Agent Zero, Azeez Al-Shaair, or do you think it's Christian Harris, type 48? Let me know down in the comment section if you think it's Azeez, type 0, if you think it's Harris, type 48. This is what Sports Illustrated had to say on Christian Harris being the most underappreciated Texan on the roster. In 16 games played for the Texans in 2023, he totaled 101 tackles, second most on the team, and 2 sacks while breaking up 7 passes. He was an underrated piece of their success last season and could prove to be a stud linebacker under head coach DeMeco Ryans as the franchise looks to continue its ascent in 2024. His progression last year was tremendous. He was up and down throughout last season, but really in that playoff game against the Cleveland Browns, he really showed up and showed out. And multiple times throughout last season, we saw glimpses of how good Christian Harris can be. So if he's able to put it together this season in year 2 under DeMeco Ryans in this defensive scheme, I think we can see an amazing linebacking core with Azeez Al-Shaair and Christian Harris. And the breakout this year is definitely on for Christian Harris. A lot of people are calling for it, and the Texans absolutely need it. They kind of put their chips into the middle of the table whenever it comes to Christian Harris because they only signed one guy in Azeez Al-Shaair realistically to be a starting option for this Texans defense, with Christian Harris in mind to really step up and take that next step this season. They let Denzel Perryman go. They let Blake Cashman walk in free agency as well. So a lot is on Christian Harris's shoulders this season, and I think DeMeco Ryans and him have a lot to prove this year for this Texans defense and really showing that DeMeco can really develop these guys at the linebacker spot and that DeMeco's defense was not a fluke in San Francisco, that he can have one of the best defenses right here in H-Town. That's all I have for you on today's show, folks. I hope you enjoyed. If you want to continue the conversation, if you want to hit me up, always do so on Twitter at Jeremy Chuggs. That's where you can find me. The DMs are always open. And make sure you hit that sub button for the fastest growing Texans channel on YouTube, Texans Today. Hey, you made it to the end of the video. Why not go down and hit that sub button for free daily Texans content?